A strong spawning season basically means the reef is alive. You know, it's number one. You can't spawn, you can't reproduce, no one has sex when they're dead. So this is a clear indication that the environmental and the ecological processes and functions that keep the system working are functioning well. Yes, we do need to conserve it and look after it, but this is a clear indication that it's not too late for the reef, and the reef itself is actually doing its job and is doing it well. We've just got to be there to help it and make sure nothing else happens to it. In a nutshell, coral spawning is the reef reproducing, the reef growing and expanding itself. Have an idea, we can predict roughly when they're all going to go off, which is around about 2 to 6 nights after the full moon in November up in the far north reaches, but different areas in the world spawn at different times. But in terms of which individuals will spawn at what time of the spawning event is kind of hit and miss. We haven't worked that out yet. All the environmental conditions are ideal. They, you know, just like when we try have babies or other animals have babies, they want the environment to be ideal for those babies. And now we got nice water temperatures at about 27 to 28 degrees Celsius. The reason they like doing it at this specific time after the full moon, you got very little tide difference, so no current. That enables the sperm to find the eggs and babies to actually be made. So few environmental factors coincide, which causes them to trigger the spawning event. What we know is only a fraction on the surface. You know, in quick summary, we know about 75% of all corals are hermaphrodites. They've got male and female. We know there's 2 different styles of spawning. One is what we're trying to capture tonight is the broadcast spawning. Another one is where they're called brooders, and that's where you have separate sexes. But all the minor triggers, or how they work it out, how the sperm actually meets the right egg, and how the whole thing actually operates, that's only something we're starting to delve into now. So I think we've scratched maybe 2-3% of it. We've still got 97% to go. What you want to do is actually go up to the individual coral colonies, because corals are made up of thousands of little individual coral animals, and a few hours before you start to see, because they release the bundle of sperm and egg basically through their oral cavity, their mouth, and you can actually see that bundle come up almost to the surface, and it looks like it's swollen, and then that's, you know, it could go off at any time. It could go off any time, or it could be an hour or two later. I've lived in Australia 10 years. I've probably done it 9 years in a row, and I've done it probably about 3 or 4 years off the South African coastline on their reefs. My expectation is hopefully to see some of your soft corals going off. I'd love to see all the other ones go off together, but it's probably the first or second night in the period that we're predicting, and so I'm hoping to see at least some go off, but I want to see all the other invertebrates coming out. We get gorgeous crustaceans, we get gorgeous worms coming out, and then actually just seeing the sleeping fish in amongst it all. So seeing the whole system together with the spawning as the backdrop is what I'm looking forward to seeing. My first one is probably the more exciting one. Come here, come visit the Great Barrier Reef, come to a beautiful location like we are on Moore Reef with Sunlover, and actually visit it, because that actually generates revenue for the reef through your tourism dollars and through your park entrance fee we call the environmental management charge. But in your day-to-day life, reduce your energy requirements, and that includes single-use plastics, turn your lights off, and just be smart about your waste. So we're not reusing, we're not just using something once and then having to get something else, and that just reduces our demand on all our resources on the planet, and that just filters through to every ecosystem, and including the Great Barrier Reef, which is critical. That's correct. Reef Teach runs an evening talk, presentation, if you will, for tourists. It's not a lecture by professors and scientists, although all our staff are postgraduately trained and work and research on the reef. And their goal is just to share their knowledge about the marine life, what they go looking for when they snorkel and dive, and why. The whole idea is to show you there's more to the Great Barrier Reef than meets the eye, and once you know those individuals exist, you see more, and if you see more, you enjoy more, and if you enjoy more and you love it more, you're invariably going to look after it more. So if they come along, we'll take them on a journey from tiny little coral polyps right up to giant whales and dolphins and everything else in between.